Welcome to the Renovating Riches podcast. Entrepreneurs from Houston teaching you everything they know about entrepreneurship and real estate with the best guests in the real estate industry. Subscribe today on all major platforms and gear up for another episode of Renovating Riches.
Welcome to Renovating Riches Radio podcast. Today we have a repeat, man, and we only bring rock stars to repeats, you know. So.
Oh, I guess I came in the wrong day then.
Yeah, actually, you came dressed as a rock star. Look at you. So now it's my pleasure, our pleasure, to bring Marcos Jacober again. Thank you so much, Marcos.
It's a pleasure to be here, guys.
I appreciate
it's
you, man.
It's a pleasure to come back.
We love bringing our friends, especially the ones that are actually doing big things out there. Marcos is, in my opinion, the king of tax deeds and tax liens, not only around Texas, but in the U.S. And he's also got a pretty good program called airbtheboss. And he was just updating us offline on all the crazy things that him and his students are doing. So anyways, Marcos, thank you so much for being here, man. We appreciate you.
A pleasure once again to have the opportunity to share what I love and to be able to educate your audience.
If you want to know more about Marcos' beginnings, okay, like where does he come from, his story, you know, when he used to work at UPS and all that. FedEx. You got to go back to episode number 41.
It's been that long?
It's been that long.
What episode? What was the last episode, you guys?
This is 100. I can't remember.
Wow.
I have to go look at it.
I gotta come here more often. Then.
Yeah. You're right. So go back to episode 41 because you get to see, the Marcos story, which is actually a pretty good one. It's a story of somebody that came from nowhere to success, and you know, I like it because it shows that anybody can do this, right?
100%.
Whatever you set yourself into. So, anyways, Marcos, how's your business looking like today? Can you get us a little update on what everything that you're up to?
Okay, so we're gonna have to do like at least 10-part series on this podcast. But since I came here in episode 41, I was starting my Airbnb business, my Airbnb idea. So I was able to grow in 28 months from one property to 65 properties. Okay. In 5 different states and 13 different cities. In 2019, I just closed the year at $1.8 million revenue on Airbnb, which is profit is about 35 to 40%.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, without buying a single property, by the way.
Right.
So I haven't bought a single place.
Right.
And we do the arbitrage model, so we rent the property long term and create an amazing experience. That's the key word. If you want to get into the Airbnb business, it's all about the experience. Not about the beds, not about the sofa, it's about the experience. To give you an example, I have a property in Coconut Grove in Miami. So we got this property. The property was ugly, right? Stones, rock, all over the place, 1975 type of property. I was like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to bring this up to date? And how are we going to create the amazing experience? So I had the idea to turn that into the Scarface house. So all the memorabilia, all the decorations, everything resembles back to the Scarface.
Did you find the chair?
Yeah, we find a chair that looks like that. We put powdered sugar in packages on the shelf to resemble cocaine, right?
Okay.
So we done this experience, and we throw a safe in the middle of the living room, and we scatter clues all over the house. So if you find the clues and you crack the code to open the safe, there's a bottle of champagne inside. Okay. So that's just an example how the Airbnb business is moving towards experience. And people pay premium to stay on that property because they want to go there and do stories and photos that I'm the Scarface house.
Man, that's actually amazing.
That's crazy.
Well, that's how you set yourself apart from the competition, right?
Let me ask you something. Did you end up doing the? I remember on our last interview, you were talking about that you were gonna do a tour, like rent like a
RV. So I have an RV. I bought an RV, and I did for. I went through 17 states.
Exactly.
So far. So I stopped it because of the winter. It's not very pleasant to be out there on an RV in the winter time. Right. But I did that tour for 70 states, and I got to come back in the spring and summer and finish it up.
Cool.
Huh. And I learned so much. So I went through, doing the tax lien and tax deed business, and also was visiting, towns. And every time I left Airbnb behind it, making money. So my order of the day, I got to a town, I call a bunch of realtors and say, hey, what houses you guys have for rent? I'll pick it up in 1 or 2 houses, build the Airbnb. I can build them in about 48 hours. It's up and running. It's amazing the speed that you can do it when you have a system. And then I go to the next town. Before I get to the next town, I already made $1,000 on that Airbnb. And that thing, I leave that behind, producing cash.
Working, yeah.
Working
for
and then I go from town to town to scatter, the county records and all that stuff, looking for tax deeds so I can buy properties for pennies on the dollar.
That's awesome.
It was an amazing experience.
So, I guess you're gonna finish that coming this spring or summer. When are we gonna be able to go and take a look at the videos, or were you uploading as you go?
Yeah, so we are filming the material right now. We're producing the episodes and all that. So pretty soon you guys are gonna have a series.
But I did see a lot of
I did
a lot of the action because he was doing Facebook Lives and going from Florida to Georgia to whatever else. And I can see the RV. He put his name and everything on the side. So
I'll tell you a very funny story. You guys ready?
Yeah.
So I went to a county. I think it was. I don't remember the name of the county exactly. Bummer. It's north of Panama City.
Okay.
Okay. And I think it's Marion County, Florida. So I went to Marion County, Florida, and I went to the tax office and I said, hey, I would like to see the records of the properties they have available for sale, because every time there's an auction and the properties that they don't buy it goes through a list. And you pick up that list, you just do your research, you pay the taxes, and the county gives you the deed of the property. That's what we call a struck off list. So when we talk about tax liens and tax deeds, auction is one way to buy properties. Off the auction is where you're going to find 70% of the deals. Okay. So it was a very small county. They didn't have that available on the website. I research the county before I get there, right? So I went to one building. They didn't know what I was talking about. And in the tax office, then I have to talk to 7 different people. They didn't know what I was talking about. Then they sent me to another building. So I went to the building number 3. And I ended up in a small room, and I talked to this lady, and she's like, oh, yes, I have a list. I finally got the list, right, after 2 hours. And people that work at the county, they look at me like I'm crazy, like, where this guy came from, right? So I got the list, and I say, okay, so I like this property right here. I would like to write you a check. So how does the process work? How does it work here for me to acquire? And she's like, I don't know. I was like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, you have the list of properties for, usually I'll just write you a check and you guys give me a deed. It's like, I work here 20 years. I never done anything like that. And I was like, okay, so who that works at the county can help me?
An attorney, I guess.
And I ended up talking to the county, treasurer, the guy who
collects
the county collectors, right? The guy who managed the whole thing. And ended up sitting with him, and he's like, Marcos, I have no idea how we're going to sell that property to you. It was like, look, here's the statute, here's how the law works. And she's like, can I get your email? And then I'll email you back. I need to do some research. Ended up that, we've been talking. I gave him my book. We talk about, educate him in tax liens and tax deeds a little bit. We went out to the RV, took a picture. Now we are good friends. And after I left there, he was like, Marcos, I worked for 40 years as the
tax collector,
as the tax surveyor. So I know every single land here. If you ever need anything, just let me know, because I know every single square mile, in this town. So having that opportunity to meet those kind of people on the road, it makes all the difference.
Wow.
And that's why I decided to do what I was doing.
So did they ever figure out how to sell it to you?
Yeah. So that a couple of weeks later, he emailed me back and said, "Here's the process." And I bought the property. I think it was like $1,500. Ended up selling for $12,000. 30 days later. So it was a good stop.
Good deal.
I would stop for $10,500 any day.
And the funny thing, as we were walking outside, to the RV to take the picture. He said, Marcos, you see that white building with the blue awnings on it? I say, yeah. So that's the only title company that they have in the county. And that guy, he's been doing tax liens and tax deeds for the past 40 years. He retired. He's a multi-millionaire. And now his daughter took over, and they buy 95% of the tax liens in the county.
Wow.
So it was very
No
interesting.
competition.
Well, now they do.
Not even the tax collector knows how to do this stuff. Imagine all the other people.
Wow. That's crazy.
And people do not believe when they say, like, if it's so good, if tax deed is so good, why not everybody's doing it? Because there's not enough information out there.
Yeah, it's more. It comes to education.
Exactly.
And understanding the process, understanding everything. That's why, when I think we took your class, and Jose, he's the one that did it. He said, man, because we had some challenges here in Houston. He was like, man, we got to wait 6 months, redemption period and all that. That's why we did. Our appetite for it wasn't that high locally.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure if we go to another market to where the redemption period is not that long or whatever, it's different.
Yeah, so that brings to a concept that I think will be very useful to your audience. Every time, even if you are, a seasonal investor, you've been doing this for a while, or you're just starting out, every time, you hear of opportunity, subconsciously, you want to bring that opportunity to your own backyard, right? So that's where you try things. That's where you see if it works or not. And usually that's a huge mistake, because not necessarily you're going to have an amazing strategy that will work in your own backyard. So for instance, there's cities that if you try to open an Airbnb, it will not work because they're still battling with the legislation. There's still a lot of resistance in the market, right? But that does not mean that opportunity is not a good opportunity.
Yeah.
So you have to ask yourself this: is this scalable in another market? Can I do it from distance? And if the answer is yes, there's no reason why you're going to drop that opportunity and not pay attention to it.
Yeah.
So, okay, Texas has 6 months redemption period, 2 years if it's homesteaded, right? Well, you don't have to buy properties at auction. You can use the list. Okay, but if you don't want to deal in Texas, can you go in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Can you go in Detroit? Can you go in Memphis, Tennessee? Can you
you
where
move?
can you go?
No,
Or you can figure it out like, gosh, I live in the wrong market. Let me get the hell out of here and go to a place
You're
where I
right.
can make money.
At the
You're
end of the day, you can move, pack up your things and move.
on our case, what's more of our limiting beliefs, right?
Yes.
Can we do this somewhere else? At the time, we couldn't, because we were those guys that we had to go to every house. We had to go see every
Makes
house.
sense.
We had to go see every little piece of detail on the walls that we had to fix, right? Today, we're buying stuff that we don't even look at, and it's across, somewhere else in Florida or South Carolina or whatever. But it was our limiting beliefs. Like,
Yes.
we didn't know we could do it maybe somewhere else.
Yes.
And that's where pretty much it all stopped back then.
Well, it comes from, people are scared. People don't know what they don't know, right?
Yeah.
But the key lesson that I want to leave to everybody is that when you find an opportunity and you try to apply that in your own backyard, even if it doesn't work in your own backyard, ask yourself, don't discard that opportunity. Oh, it's an amazing opportunity, but I wish it could work here, right? Don't discard that opportunity. Ask yourself the right question. How can I make this work someplace else? Right? So for instance, that was one of these days I was doing a research. It was really close to the auction. I was not prepared to be part of the auction. And I had to have the picture of that property because I don't buy anything that I don't know is there. Right?
Right.
And Google Maps and
It's
Google Earth and all
outdated.
that stuff, if you trust in Google Maps picture to do your comps on buy a
No,
property, it's the same thing that you trust a picture that you see in Tinder or on Bumble, right?
Yeah.
It's never the same thing. When
Yeah,
you go face to face, it's totally different.
Yeah.
It's a terrible analogy, though.
No,
But
no, no.
anyways,
No, but I understand. Well, now we know you have Tinder.
well, I'm single, so I guess I'm allowed to do
You're
that.
allowed to.
But so I need that picture, and I was like, how can I get this picture? How can I get this picture? So I post up, I add on Craigslist, and it takes a while for people to answer. I was like, I know what I'm gonna do. So
There's an app for that. I'll show you.
Oh, I need to learn that. But what I did was, I went to Uber app and order a run from Uber. Once the driver showed up at the address of the house, of course he couldn't find me. He gave me a call. Hey, Mr. Marcos, I'm here. I said, look, here's the thing. I'm not at the house. All I need you to do is to take a picture of that property and send it to me. I'm going to tip you $10. Plus, I'm going to pay you your $10 that took you from come here. And he took a picture of the property, $20. I'm done.
Yeah, there's an app. We'll talk after the show,
but it works everywhere.
Yeah, almost. I mean, the guy is growing it. He's out of California. He created this app just for pictures and videos all around the world.
I remember you mentioning that last year.
I want to learn that. That would be very useful. That would be very useful.
So,
but you just got to be creative. Think outside the box. You know.
So you're still doing your tax liens?
Oh, I'll never stop doing that. Never stop.
Airbnb. Have you added any other?
Those are my main things, right?
Okay.
So there is a concept called entropy, and entropy means everything that's God made or man made is going from order to disorder. And there's a big debate that people say, well, we got to focus on one thing and all that. To me, that's not true, and I'll tell you why. So there is a concept called entropy.
I guess it's the opposite of utopia.
So entropy comes from the quantum physics. It explains every time atom interact with a neutron, it has a lost. It loses energy, right?
Yeah.
So everything that's God made and man-made goes from order to disorder. So if you buy a car today and you put it in a storage place, 100 years from now, it's not going to see the same car. And that applies to our career, to our relationship, our body is going from order to disorder, right? So applies to every aspect of our life. So that's a battle that we're going to lose. And if you don't believe that, where's Sears?
Yeah.
Where's Payless?
Kmart.
Where's Kmart? Where's CompUSA?
Toys R Us.
Remember CompUSA?
Yeah.
Where's Toys R Us? So everything goes from order to disorder, right? And the same thing applies to our business. So ExxonMobil here, they have the world headquarters here in the Woodlands. How they can stay ahead. When they find an oil well, you from that business, so you correct me if I'm saying anything wrong. When they find an oil well, they don't put 100% of their effort, time, energy, money on that oil well. There's a portion of the business that's looking for the next oil well because they know that's gonna dry it up sooner or later.
Yeah,
make sense?
Yeah.
So there's the only way we're gonna continue to be ahead our game. So tax liens, tax deeds, even though it's been around for over 200 years, and I don't think it's only going to go around out of the business when people start paying their taxes on time, which is never going to happen. Even though I thought that I had to get 20% of my time, energy, and money and apply it to something else. So if you want to win against entropy, you got to take 20% of what we're doing right now. It doesn't matter how well you are doing. And you got to take 20% of your time, energy, money, and start something else. If it's related to what you do, even better. In my case, it's still real estate. So when you do your 80% of your main business, you got to focus 100% on that 80%. Does that make sense? When you do your 20% of your secondary business, you got to focus 100% when you're doing your 20%.
Yeah.
That's why you got to focus in one thing at a time. But you still got to grow 80-20 in order to do that. And that's why I decided, even though I was doing extremely well with tax liens and tax deeds, I decided to start the Airbnb business. And if I had applied the entropy principle, I would be $1.8 million short this year.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good analogy in the way you put it out, because we sort of apply that as well. Because our business was 100% flipping. Then we went 80% flipping, 20% wholesaling. And now we're kind of like switching to 80% wholesaling. Hopefully we'll be out of flipping in the next 6 months.
Okay.
Because we don't want to flip anymore.
A lot of work, huh?
It's too many moving parts.
Yeah.
And if we can focus on volume, then wholesaling provides that.
It's much easier to flip a piece of paper than flip the entire house.
To flip the entire house. That's right.
That's why when I buy tax deeds, so here's you guys probably can help me out with this. Understand, because I haven't found the answer yet. You guys are savvy investors, right? You guys doing hundreds of deals a year. Explain to me why when I go to a courthouse for our auction, so Texas, 254 counties, every auction here happens on the first Tuesday of the month, right? 10 o'clock. And some of the counties, they're so small that you have the bank foreclosed auction in one side of the room and the tax auction on the other side of the room. Make sense?
Yeah.
Now, explain to me why in the bank foreclosure auction, I see 95 investors competing for 5 houses with a spread of 20, 30%.
Actually,
And
probably
less than that. And on the other side of the room, I see 5 investors competing to buy 95 houses with a spread of 70 to 80%.
So it all comes to, in my opinion,
I don't get it.
It all comes to education.
Yeah.
People are not
It's what
educated
people
enough.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, people know how to swing a hammer. They don't necessarily know how to swing a pen. If you could, using an analogy.
Yeah, so not enough people know about tax deeds and tax liens, right? And what the correct process is for getting these properties.
Purchasing.
Right? But a lot of people watch HGTV and they see that they show the courthouse and that they can beat against other investors on something that doesn't even have that much equity anymore. Because if you're buying at the courthouse, you're not getting a lot of equity. It's for the most part, and you can't really see the houses inside a lot of times. So
even the bank foreclosure auction, because I never bought anything on the other side though.
we don't buy at the courthouse, so I really don't know what the real
I-
process is. We buy directly from the seller, so we really want to go to the source before he ever hits a bank or a tax auction.
Got it.
That's who literally we target. It's like, who can we prevent from getting there? So we get them way before.
But I want to share a good strategy that might work for you guys
Sure.
here locally. So Texas, because it's a redeemable deed state, it creates a very unique opportunity. And I never told anybody about this. And I hope if you guys make money, just send me a percentage of the check
Sure.
and we are good. Okay?
We'll go to Puerto Rico.
We'll take you
we
to
go
Puerto
we go to
Rico.
Puerto Rico where we pay no taxes.
That's right.
I'll show you the nice places in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
So think about this, and that was something that came into my mind not too long ago. So the process in Texas is you go to the auction. If you buy a property at auction, right, you have to hold that property for 180 days if it's non-homesteaded, and if it's a homesteaded, 2 years, right? If it's agricultural use or homesteaded, you gotta wait 2 years. You follow me on that?
Yeah.
So let's say there is a house that's being auctioned. It's a 6 months redemption period, and the house is worth $200,000. Okay, and let's say you couldn't go to auction, but someone bought that house for $100K. So potentially, that's $100,000 profit to be made on that deal.
Yeah.
But you already lost the opportunity because
Someone else bought it.
someone else bought it and you couldn't be at the auction because every auction happens at the same day and the same time. You follow me on that?
Yeah.
Okay. So Texas law says that the owner of the house has 180 days to come forward and redeem it, which means they got to pay a premium of 25%, and they have the right to redemption, right? The investor who bought the property for 100K cannot say, no, I'm not going to give you back. It has to give back, right? Which means is, what prevents me from going back in the
Nothing. You can buy the redemption.
from going back on the records for the houses that were sold 5 months ago? That's only 1 month to be redeemed, right? And I locate the homeowner. I buy the right of redemption from the homeowner and turn around and pay the investor the 25% premium. So which means that property probably going to cost me $125,000.
Plus, what do you pay the owner
Plus
for
what
the
I pay the
redemption?
owner, and sometimes it's a couple of $1,000s because he already lost it anyways, right? And there's still a lot of money to be made, and you don't have to hit one single auction. So you guys are in a wholesale business. You're trying to locate motivated sellers that wants to sell properties. What a beautiful way to track that data and just buy right of redemption outright. And here's what's beautiful about it. You have 6 months to locate the owner, and you can actually find a buyer for that property even before you write that check. Because let's say you locate the owner and you give the owner a couple of $1,000, you buy the right of redemption like in the next month, right? Now you have 5 months
To find a buyer.
to find a buyer for $200K or $180K or $170K, and you know that all you have to do is to pay $125.
I agree. I don't disagree with that. It's just another way of getting properties, right?
We're gonna go after this meeting and have lunch with Marcus.
Based on your
here.
smile, you like my idea.
I knew the portion from buying the redemption portion of it. Just never had to implement it because we've been chasing basically.
We just need to tell our
But
producer.
isn't the same work that you guys have to do to locate the owners or heirs and all that?
I think this is way less work because you're targeting a set number of people.
Yeah.
And the data is, I'm pretty sure it's public. It's available at the tax office.
100%.
So it's less risk than just marketing like we do and spending all the money that we spend.
So
in
you,
marketing.
in other words, you don't have to send 5,000 letters.
No.
You already send letters to people that you know they need money because if they already. Here's the
Look,
thing.
they're investors. You just need to make a sweet deal for them, and they'll sell it.
Yeah. So basically, in taxes, when it comes
There's
to the
no
tax deeds,
sentimental or emotional.
you have
attachment.
3 ways to buy properties. You can buy the property before the auction, right? So you buy the you buy people out before the auction.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
You can buy the property at auction, and you can even buy the properties after the auction.
Yeah.
This is after. Like when you
I
go-
like the after better. You know why? Because you have more time to work with.
And less competition.
Yes, before the auction, you already have a lot of people scrambling. Sometimes you have 2 weeks to come up with the money, close the deal, and pay,
It's
and
very
try to work
stressful.
and
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that.
very stressful.
It's
There's a
very
lot of running
stressful.
around.
But after the auction, it's even easier to convince the person because I don't know. You guys probably do a lot of this type of negotiation. You know, sometimes the seller knows they're going to lose it, but they still want to hold on to it.
The only problem is that if the person that bought the house at the auction already went and bought the redemption rights from the owner.
Yeah, I mean that's, and
Well,
sometimes they do that, right?
But not everybody.
Yeah.
So I know, in my circle of friends, and I've been doing this for over 14 years. I probably met 1 or 2 guys who done that. That's not very common. Most people don't know that they can do that, and most people just wait
The 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
They just wait. I mean, if we work in every single deal, not.
No, but it's no. You're chase. So it's no. I mean,
It's just an extra strategy that you can.
No, and
that
we're
you can utilize.
and we can skip trace all these people and get their number. So it's just calling all these people or text messaging or whatever because we evolved a lot from the mailers. We do mailers, but now we do text messaging, calling.
So how can we partner up
you
and
know.
make that thing happen?
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, we just need.
Like if we go to Tennessee for example, which is right next door, it's only 10% penalty. It's not 25. If you go to Georgia, it's 20% penalty.
Yeah.
So we just need to tell our producer not to air this show probably within the next year, so we don't give people ideas. No, I'm just kidding.
Nah, even Marcos can give the ideas, and the reality is 0.1% is going to go out
You're gonna
there
do it.
and do something. So, and if you do, by all means, this is where we do this for.
Well, we
Yeah.
don't have the money to buy every single tax deed in Texas, right?
Or the whole nation.
Or the whole nation. So
There's enough for everybody.
it's enough for everybody, especially in your line of business on the tax deeds and tax liens, where, like you said, the education, even though you educate people through your program, is not all over the place. Like you can probably go on YouTube and put wholesaling 101, and there is 5,000 people talking about how do you do your first deal. But on tax deeds and tax leases, that's not the case.
No, it's very limited.
It's very limited. And then even if you find a few hundred videos, who do you trust?
Yeah, and the beauty of it, of tax liens and tax deeds is this. I don't know if it's beauty or that's a obstacle. Wholesale is the same thing anywhere. Is the same process, same principle. Any state that you go to,
Right.
minus some few details and laws and all that, right? But it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
So tax liens, tax deeds is a little bit different because not only every state is different.
Oh,
Every county is.
Every county has a different process. So the way I buy tax deed in Montgomery County, Texas, it's way different than Harris County. That is way different than Fort Bend County. That's way different than Waller and Brazoria.
Yeah, so there's a lot more moving parts.
Yeah, so it's a lot more to figure it out, because not only you have to figure out how the state works, you have to figure out how that particular county works. What is the process to acquire the property in that particular county?
Perfect. We're at the end of the first program.
Already?
Yeah, we're at the end, man. We've gone at it for about 30 minutes now. So, anyways, don't forget to hit share, like, and subscribe. Watch the next one. Marcus is going to continue educating us in everything he's doing. And we are thankful that you're following us. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye, everyone.